Oh my goodness. I feel like a little bit of a mess today trying to figure out certain things, and I was struggling with it, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it cannot be this hard.
Life is always going to be hard. Don't you know that?
I know, can't make it easy, but that's okay. I was trying to stay organized, and work got in the way. What the heck, man?
Oh, well. So our secret's out. All right. Everybody knows what we did. Did you make yours?
They did figure it out. Oh, well, that's so, yeah. Well, I'm a little behind with mine, so I figured I was going to make it along, and share the how-to. So, because mine is right here.
Yeah.
It's right here. So I'm like in the process of making all this because I'm a little slow. I had the recipe. I had everything that I was going to do, mainly the recipe for the drink, then for my,
which drink did you do?
So there's a couple that I was looking at, but I went with, Drinks Made Easy, 2 goofball guys. Oh my goodness, they cracked me up. I was not going to go that direction. I was going to make it easy and just make the mixing drink. I was like, do I really want a headache with the, raspberry liqueur, which is mainly sugar? So I'm going a different direction, which still has sugar in it, but I think, and it's pouring down rain here. I mean, my hair's a mess. I mean, when I got out of the office, it was like pouring down rain. I'm like trying to cover it. It was what it was. So.
Well, I mean, I got 2 different things for the drink. Number one, I thought about this was just such a cool idea for food.
Right.
One of the things I thought I might do, I was going to just crack open a good old beer, put it in a frosted mug.
Is it a red beer?
It's that amber lager that I got from 4 Sixes, which is one of my new favorite beers.
Nice.
Anyway.
Very cool. I'm gonna.
But the other thing I got here is I got everything here to make an old fashioned. Old fashioned, baby. Old fashioned drink, old fashioned guy. What can I say?
I like that idea, and I always love an old fashioned. But I did get the workings for a rock lobster, and I think I have it here. So it's the rock lobster drink, which has coconut rum, which is Malibu. It has Canadian whiskey, which I was originally just going to do a whiskey, but since I was there, I'm like, might as well get a little mini of the Crown Royal. It calls for grenadine. It calls for pineapple and orange juice, which I had, and then it calls for you do a float of dark rum. So I went with Kraken. And I didn't want to buy a big Kraken, so I got a little mini guy. So I should be able to get about 3 drinks out of this guy, maybe 4, depending on how much I put there. And the original reason I was not wanting a blended drink is because I'm not big on blended drinks, because I feel like it's mainly ice more than anything else. But this one just seemed a little bit more up my alley versus just getting the Canadian whiskey or rye whiskey with cranberry juice and an orange liqueur. So I could go, instead of not an orange liqueur, I'm sorry, a raspberry. So raspberry, cranberry, and whiskey. That's another version of a rock lobster, but it's really about red. So I thought, well, I could do the cranberry juice, a simple syrup, and whiskey. That's another, but I'm going to go with the blended one today. But my main thing was, get all the things to do to make my quesadilla. And normally my quesadilla I usually have toppings on it. In this case, it's going to have lobster in it versus, because usually my toppings are on top of a quesadilla. I'll have my guac, my pico de gallo, my sauce, whatever it is that I make goes on top of the quesadilla. In this case, I will make a guac because I do have avocado, the tomato, and all the stuff, but the lobster is going to go inside the quesadilla. whenever you're adding any ingredients inside a quesadilla, make sure they're, because when you're making a quesadilla, it's fairly quick. It is not going to cook inside the quesadilla. So if you want mainly raw tomatoes, then great, put it inside. It might melt a little, but you're still going to have primarily raw tomatoes inside. Mushrooms, same thing. So if you are adding anything, cook them before you put them inside. All right. Now let me get my other.
So yeah, I made our lobster quesadillas today. I went with a recipe off of the Cousins Lobster website. Maine
So
Lobster. It's wait a minute.
Cousins,
Lobster from Maine. No, lobsterfrommaine.com. I went with their recipe. All right,
okay,
which was red bell peppers,
ooh,
green onions, and lobster. All right, and taco seasoning. So I made it. I cooked the lobsters probably about an hour ago.
Okay.
And then I cooked the seasoning. I made everything to go into it so that it was all, the peppers are all cooked up and everything. And then I started making them now 45 minutes ago. It was 30 minutes before the show was supposed to start that I was doing it. And, and then I put them together and cooked them. And my first two came out a little burnt, but it's all right. Yeah. They still taste good.
Sometimes with like pancakes, pancakes and quesadillas, you'll have one that will be the sacrificial one.
Yeah.
Pull out all my stuff.
No.
Here we go. Okay. I have 2 avocados because one I think it's a little overripe. I love it when friends get dinnerly, like it's almost like a Blue Apron or one of those where you get the foods and then they don't make the stuff and then they have extra ingredients that they don't know what to do with. And then I come in and I go, let me cook for you. So these green onions were from a dinnerly dinner that weren't made. And so I said, I will be taking over the dinnerly dinners and make different food. So that was part of what I did this weekend was a lot of cooking using dinnerly.
So anyway, this is what my lobster quesadillas look like.
Oh my goodness, they're beautiful. I'm going to take a picture of that. So let me.
Of course, I've got sour cream on one of them so I can eat, but.
I did see, look at all those toppings. Oh my goodness, look at those colors. I love the colors. Oh, that's the one that you slightly overdid. Got it. Okay.
Yep.
It's okay. It still probably tastes super yummy. So I moved to this side of the kitchen because I knew that I was going to be doing more in front of than on the side because I was running behind. So that's why I moved over here versus over there because I'm like, I'm going to be off camera most of the time if I don't just stay in front of. So, oh, look, my avocado isn't too bad. So that's a good thing. Sometimes avocados, I can never tell. Lately, I've been getting avocados that are, they've left a lot to the imagination where it's like going, I returned 6 of them not that long ago. I said, oh, all of them were ugly. So I was able to replace them. So what kind of toppings do you like on your quesadilla?
So normally if I was in a regular quesadilla, I would have extra peppers on top. All right. I would have my, an extra set of green onions on top. And I usually would sprinkle cheese on top after they're cooked.
Oh, I was thinking about that. I was going to ask.
Just a little, almost like your salt peppers. You know what I mean? All right. And just because they're cooked and it's an extra little warming to it, right? When you do it.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you if you were one of those that added more cheese on top of your quesadilla.
Mm-hmm. I do. So, I mean, and my first one, of course, on the first batch, I took one into Gwen. Gwen's been home sick all day. So I took one into Gwen. She's like, oh my God, these are good. So she came out, whatever I didn't use, she used the rest of it and made a bunch for her. So
good. Sometimes food is so medicinal. You have kind of like a shower. If I'm sick and I take a shower, I feel so much better just with the shower. food is the same thing where it's like, you know what, you get some food in you and it's like, oh my goodness, all of a sudden I feel that much better.
Yeah.
So, now your guac, do you like it chunky? We've had this discussion before. If you like it chunky or do you like it creamy?
I like it chunky.
I like a chunky guac myself.
I like when you, I mean, I like when you I don't like that creamy paste and then you add the vegetables in. No, I want part of the chunks of avocado to be part of the chunks I'm getting.
Right. Yeah, that's it. I'm the same way. So I'm throwing a few other.
Of course, I didn't do any avocados today because I really didn't have any left in the kitchen today. So
yeah, sometimes
all the
it's
things that you could put on top of it, I just didn't.
sometimes it's, you know what, you got to go with what you have. Oh, it still smells delicious. My little lobster tail. It's gonna go in there. So a rock lobster, the rock lobster drink that I made, if you noticed, it was the color of a rock, hence why it's a rock lobster. So lobster is not normally red, for those that didn't know that. It's not until it's cooked that it turns red. So, and good thing is that this is just the tail. It's not going to scream at me because otherwise I don't know that I could cook a lobster if it's going to be screaming right back at me as I'm cooking it. That I think would be so sad. But that is the nature of eating a lobster. For those of you that didn't know, and if you order, the lobster out of the aquarium there, it is going to be crying in the back. So the screams that you hear, that is from the lobster that you're about to eat. So what, so you cooked it, and then what was your process when you were making your lobster quesadilla?
So I cooked the lobster. Then I made I put the peppers in a pan with some oil.
Okay.
Got them softened up. Then I added my lobster. Then I added a teaspoon of taco seasoning. And then I stirred it around for 2 minutes. After I did that, I took them all out and put them back in the bowl that I had my lobster cooked in. I then added the onions, the green onions that I had chopped earlier, and I kind of mixed it all around. Truthfully, I kind of mixed it with my hand, right? One of those flop around, circle around.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yep. And then I waited till I was ready. I mean, I kind of timed out how I was going to, I knew to get ready in time. And I went to make my first one. I put it, and then I could put it in a half shell. All right. I sprinkled the cheese all over it. And then I literally put it in but then I cleaned the pan and I'd rewarm the same pan. Right.
Okay.
Put it in the same pan with a little bit of oil. My first one burned a little bit because I had the heat up too high and I had to turn my heat back down.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That happens sometimes. I've done that too, where I don't realize how high my heat is. And then it's like, oh my goodness, that's a little too much.
Are you using gas or electric stove?
I do. Well, I would prefer to have a gas stove, but I have electric, and I've had electric for a long time. When I was in Texas, I did have gas and I loved it. Because I grew up on gas stove, and then once I moved into an apartment, in my 20s, it was like everything was electric, and it's like, what the hell? I want gas. So when I moved into the house, actually, my house in Southern California did have gas stove too. Let me see if I have lemon. I don't have. I thought, oh yes, I did bring a lemon. I moved it out of the way because I was using my, there it is, next to my banana. Because do you use lemon or lime in your guac?
Lime.
Normally I use lime. In this case, I don't have any, so I'm going with lemon. So it'll be slightly different type of citrus, but it'll still work. And I also added purple onion this time. A lot of times I just use the green onions. But purple is great because it adds more color. And for me, a quesadilla needs to have a guac. So I think it'll add more color to it. So there's a little guac. So next is I have to cut up this poor lobster or lobster tail that I just had. If you have scissors, that's always a great way to cut and open up in order to pull out.
I pull scissors and I use it. I used it. My first one, I did 4 tails to make my lobster.
Okay.
My first one, I cut both sides and then pulled it up. You know what I mean? Pulled it out, and the meat kind of flaked out. The second one, I just pulled the top and then spread it, and the meat popped. And that's what I want. I want that meat to pop out, right?
Right.
Then I was able to pop and pull it. So I put the rest of the other ones the same way. I know some people that they'll steam them. All right. I just boil them. I just put them in water and boil them. Right.
Right.
It's just like the only thing I didn't do is I did it in water. I did not do it in beer. Like usually if I'm doing shrimp, I'll cook my shrimp in some beer.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
You know, just a cheap leftover beer in the refrigerator and cook it. Yeah. But anyway, so today's, ladies and gentlemen, is National Lobster Day and National Quesadilla Day. So when we learned that last month, we said, let's try to do lobster quesadillas.
Yes, that's where it all came from.
And sure enough, we found the recipes and we decided we were going to go with it. While it is an exciting thing for us to do, it was the most dreaded because I was worried that it was going to be a ton of work. All right. And usually when I prep for the show, I don't want a ton of work. All right. I want to do a couple simple steps to make the show possible. And come on. All right. Because I don't like
complicated.
I don't like having to arrange all the details when I'm on the show. I want to have everything in front of me that I need and I'm set. So I don't have to move for 1 hour.
Right. Sure. It's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why simple, easy marketing, simple, easy websites.
Yeah.
Is all about simple and easy. And me, employee benefits simplified. I like to simplify things. I don't want to complicate them. I want to make them as easy peasy as possible. Because otherwise, if things are too complicated, then we're not going to do what we're supposed to do or want to do. So let's simplify our lives. Why make it more difficult than it needs to be? So. So you thought it was going to be too hard, and so was it?
Actually, it was fairly easy, and I did everything in my willpower while waiting for Gladys to not eat them today. I really wanted to eat them. The second I pulled them out of the pan, I wanted to eat them.
Yeah, quesadilla. It's all about making them as soon as you make them, you got to eat them. That's important. So there's some people similar to a grilled cheese, they will add mayo to the tortilla. Is that something you do or you don't?
Olive oil.
Oh, okay.
I am an olive oil.
Olive oil, butter, mayo. So those are some of the things that can be used to make the quesadilla. I turn mine a few times to warm them up on both sides to help the cheese melt. So that's part of what I like to do to help the process, because let's make the process a little bit easier. Let's not complicate it. Let's allow the cheeses. So I got 2 different cheeses. A cheese for quesadilla. Usually it's a Oaxaca, which is a kind of it makes it very stringy, almost like a mozzarella. You can also do Monterey Jack was something that my mama used a lot. Monterey Jack. So this blend has Monterey Jack, cheddar, asadero, and queso quesadilla. So this one has 4. But I really wanted to do this one. I kind of wanted to do both, but I wanted more of the quesadilla cheese than anything else. That's why I got both. Plus they were on sale. So I went with it's like, and I was asked, what, were they on sale? And the answer is, yeah, they were.
So yeah, I have a bag. I always have a bag. Usually we keep a bag of that Mexican blend mix. But the recipe I had said, cheese. It said Monterey Jack, mozzarella, or cheddar, or Mexican blend. So it gave you choices. And of course, I went with Mexican blend because I want to have the Mexican blend has a blended of it.
Yeah,
So
and that's always
I know we chose this thing with lobster quesadillas, but I almost was going to pull a Hail Mary and have a separate lobster.
okay.
And we have a quesadilla that we make at our house that is our favorite. And they're called Reuben quesadillas.
Okay.
Think of a Reuben sandwich.
Uh-huh.
Corned beef, sauerkraut, cheese. All right. And you put all that into a tortilla and you cook it up.
Wow.
It is one of our favorites. We found it in a magazine or something of Gwen's. All right. And I can't tell you how many times we've made it over the years. We just love it. All right. And she says it's not that hard to make. So no.
But she was sick, so it's kind of, that would have been something that she would have made because she's more used to.
Well, no, after I had her give me all the ingredients to make this today, I had to make it. All right. Let's face it. You know what I mean? She does shopping on Sunday, and she's like, what do you need for your show? And that's where she ran out yesterday to get everything I needed for the show.
Cool. Thank you, Gwen.
Okay.
I'm adding little pieces of lobster because they're just so yummy to.
Of course, if there's bourbon that's needed or alcohol that's needed, I go get that.
Now, do you do one hole and then another one on top, or do you fold it in half?
I fold it in half.
Which is most of the time what I do. This time I did go with one over and one under, so I did do it a little bit different than I normally do. Sometimes I do that. I do the things differently than when I normally do, just because you know what, we got to try different things. Getting the last little pieces there. And
I did it because I have a smaller pan. But
okay.
There's an argument for either way.
Right.
No, I put the stuff in my tortilla before I put it, and I kind of matted it, and then I put it in the pan.
Okay.
Gwen made hers by putting it in the pan, starting to cook the bottom, and then adding the stuff to it, and then flipping it.
Okay, that's what I did. Mm-hmm. Is that I heated it on both sides, and then I added the cheese, and then I added the lobster, and then I added the second piece on top, and then I'm flipping it. So I'm adding a little bit of butter just because mine isn't browning too much, so I'm going to add just a wee bit to.
Well, I can tell you how to brown it just a little bit faster, but turn that temperature up a little bit. It browns it. Trust me. A little bit black, but it's brown.
I was going to say just slightly overdo it.
Yeah, just slightly overdo it. It'll be all right.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Don't worry.
I did the old fashioned, and then I said I have this lager here. I'm going to tell you, I'd rather have the beer with these.
Really? It's more refreshing.
Yeah.
It's definitely something that I would like. So I have the ice already in here. I'm going to do all the things. Where's my mouse? Because I want to make sure that I have the correct ingredients, which I think that I had.
I think you should have went with a beer. You got too much going on.
Yeah, I know.
Eating process here.
Well, I'm also cooking because I'm a little behind with my cooking. I didn't make my quesadilla ahead of time. I wanted, sometimes when I get off work a little bit more than or later than I anticipate, that happens. And a lot of times I'm at the office. This time it was just appointments and clients, so they kind of took priority. Oh, there you go. Got the brownie. That's what I wanted. Even though a quesadilla, the interesting thing is that a quesadilla this is a Mexican quesadilla that we're making. In Guatemala, a quesadilla is more of like almost like a cheesecake, but it's a cakey cheesecake, not a, you know how like a cheesecake that you get here, it's, I don't know, how to just, well, you know what a cheesecake is here, but it's more of a cake. So it's a cake made of cheese, and it is absolutely delicious. And one time, as we were traveling back from where we were when I was in Guatemala, I bought one and I ate the whole thing in the hour and a half that it took us to get back home. So I can be a little piggly wiggly. So
No, our neighbor makes he's from El Salvador, and he makes us pupusas, and oh my God, they're gone in 10 minutes when he brings them to the house.
oh, nice! I love pupusas. Absolutely love pupusas. So here's my brown quesadilla.
Yeah. Look at that. See, she's got a lot more brown than I do. I'd show you mine, but they're all in my stomach now.
You can always use.
I was done waiting. I was hungry.
And nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. So I'm gonna cut this in 4. Usually I like to cut it into smaller wedges. In this case, I'm just gonna do the cutting in 4. And then I'm gonna add my okay then. That one is done.
So while you're doing that, should I read through our sheet, our information sheet for this week?
Yes, please, because that was what I was about to do when I'm like going, oh, my quesadilla is almost done. So here's my quesadilla.
Look at that. So today, September 25th, is National Quesadilla Day. Annually celebrated on September 25th, and it is a great time to enjoy this delicious meal. Originating from Mexico, quesadillas have evolved over time as a result of the many experimentations people have had with different variations of it. It is one special dish that provides you your taste buds with much delight, while at the same time giving your body much needed nutrients. The mouthwatering food is enjoyed by many people in the USA and has gained popularity all around the world as a result of its easy to make recipes. So, history. Let's give a little bit of history on this thing she put in here for me to read to you. Quesadilla is a popular Mexican dish that consists of tortillas that are basically filled with cheese and something cooked: sausage, pork, beef, lobster. Anyway, with some fresh tomatoes, herbs, sour cream, guacamole, some herbs and chilies going on there to make it all good and heat the surface up. Traditionally, many people do corn tortillas. I'm curious, all right, but also we don't have flour. What did you use tonight on yours?
Flour.
Yeah, flour. Well, I like flour. All right, just what I like. This snack meal is known to have origins linked to colonial Mexico. So corn tortillas were famous among the Native American people of Mexico and Aztecs. These people prepared the dish by stuffing their tortillas with pumpkin and squash and baking them in clay ovens. There are several variations of quesadillas that have been adapted to many different styles. It is served as appetizers in many restaurants across the U.S., and some variations of it use goat cheese, zucchini, spinach, black beans. A particular variation described as Quesadilla. I love that one. Combines the ingredients of cooking techniques of the quesadilla with pizza toppings. I've seen that Mexican pizza thing.
Yeah.
Other variations of quesadillas include the use of wheat flour tortillas to place of corn masa, especially in northern Mexico. I didn't know that. I like the flour or the wheat flour tortillas. I probably would have done that if I'd known that. No.
Right.
Where was I in this? In this case, the flour tortilla is prepared, folded, and filled with cheese and any other preferred fillings. Although quesadillas are commonly known to come with cheese in Mexico, the case is different in Mexico City. If you order a quesadilla, you will need to request cheese. Quesadillas are unique meals that can be thoroughly enjoyed by anyone and everyone, and its day shows just how special it is. So, and I noticed you put the timeline in here. All right, going back to the birth of tortillas, 500 BC. Quesadillas come to existence in the 16th century. They gained popularity in the 19th, and they become a Mexican cuisine in the 21st. Oh, she even put 5 facts about quesadillas that will fascinate you. It has a literally cheesy meaning. The word quesadilla literally translates to little cheesy thing. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because queso is that's cheese.
Yeah.
So yeah.
They are good for muscle gain. Quesadillas provide energy and carbs, filled fiber, and nutrient-packed vegetables, and muscle-building proteins. Mine doesn't. Mine's providing me with junk, dude. Comes in different sizes, all right? Quesadillas are either made by placing cheese between 2 tortillas or single tortilla folded in a half moon shape and stuffed with the cheese.
Right. They
are popular in America. Though they are traditionally Mexican, quesadillas are widely eaten by Americans, with 1 in 3 Americans making it every week.
Wow, I didn't know.
Yeah. They can be made with or without oil. The original quesadilla recipe does not require oil. However, it can be fried in oil to make it fritas. Fritas? Yeah. Anyway, interesting facts we have about that, huh? So the other thing today is National Lobster Day. National Lobster Day, now considered a fine delicacy throughout most of the world. The crowd-pleasing, I can't even say that word, has been seeing darker days. Pacific Standard Magazine writes of a time when consumers could buy Boston baked beans for 53 cents a pound, canned lobster sold for just 11 cents a pound, in a time when maritime New England was practically covered in lobsters. They were a food relegated to prison. Really? To prison feed? Lobsters have had quite a journey as a food item because became rags to riches stories as always worth celebrating. On September 21st, we observe Lobster Day. Wow. I'm not going to go through the history on this tonight because I just want to talk about some stuff about lobster. Now, I lived in New England for a few years. Massachusetts, New Hampshire. And I will say this about lobsters in New England. Everybody knew somebody who was bringing them back fresh from Maine on Friday night.
Oh, nice.
You did not, You did not get grocery store lobsters in New England. No, you got them fresh from some fisherman's buddy. Right.
Right.
And I remember paying. You know what I mean? It was like $5 a lobster, and we're talking lobster. $5 a lobster back then, right? And basically, it was nothing to grab because Massachusetts and New England are right. A lot of your fisherman type areas. These guys who do lobsters, you know what I mean. The freshest all came to those people in town, and we were eating it within days. All right.
Nice.
They would probably be docking the boat on Thursday and pulling everything off, and literally there would be guys there getting stuff and then driving down to wherever we lived in New England and selling it off to their buddies. It was almost like the moonshiner having his having his bootlegger who had all the customers. These guys had it all. Now, I don't know when the first time you had lobster, because it is more of a delicacy than not. The first time we had lobsters, I was younger than I was under 14 years of age, because we lived the house we lived in at the time was in South Canaan, and our neighbor lived in New Jersey, but he had a house right next to us. He brought them from New Jersey out in a trash can, packed in ice. Right, old milk can packed in ice for lobsters for everybody, and we had an old-fashioned lobster cook and everybody out there doing them. And just before I lived the years I lived in New England, all right, there were certain times a year that we always had lobsters. Labor Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July. Every
Okay, so
one of those, we had lobsters. Just like you guys, you know, I mean, down here we have hamburgers and barbecue. Up there, it was lobsters.
lobster.
Uh-huh.
So I picked up these straws that are made with agave.
Mm-hmm.
So they're biodegradable straws. This is very yummy. It's very refreshing. There's still pieces of ice in there because it was getting very loud. But it's very refreshing. And when I took the sip with the dark rum, the Kraken rum on top, it tasted really good. I like that. It was like very refreshing. But because of the ice, it's not fully blended. I figured I'd pull out the straw that's biodegradable. So how often do you eat lobster now?
Not so much as anymore. Right now, we don't have a lot of seafood in our house because my daughter has a seafood allergy.
Oh,
So everything I did to prepare this today, the lobsters were sitting on ice in a bag in a drawer in our refrigerator. The bag leaked, so everything in that drawer now has to be taken out, and my daughter can't eat any of it. The counter where I prepared all the lobsters, the cutting board, all that stuff has to be washed twice, put in the dishwasher and washed a third time, right? Any surface that I have or any pot that I cook, all right, my daughter can't touch, and any of the food that touches that area, my daughter can't touch it because it bothers her. So we don't have seafood all that often down here because of the fact that my daughter has an allergy to it.
is it all seafood or is it shellfish?
I think it's mainly shellfish, but yeah.
This is one delicious quesadilla.
Mm-hmm.
I think in part it was the tortillas that I used, good cheese, and adding that lobster in there. Oh my goodness. That gave it such a good flavor. And I think that because I added lemon instead of lime to the guac,
Mm-hmm.
I think that paired better with this because the lobster, you're either going to add butter or you're going to add lemon to it. You're not going to add lime. And I think that made this pair very nicely. And with the rock lobster drink, you get the warmth over here, the coolness, and the coolness, it blends very nicely. This drink, I originally no blended drinks, it's cold, but it's not like that harsh sweetness to it. One thing I omitted was the banana liqueur, but I added the banana in there. I figured, you know what? It's just more sugar, a little bit more banana flavor. It has enough banana flavor with the banana. So I think that went well. But I think the sour cream would have done well. Or a
I
salsa.
gotta tell you, sour cream is one of the greatest things I like going along with my quesadillas.
I think I might have some. I do. A daisy.
Yep. Same thing I did.
I don't even know if I've opened this one. No, I have. Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, so a little bit of nothing wrong with sour cream. Sour cream is so delicious. I don't mind sour cream at all, especially daisy.
Yeah.
Mainly because of the ingredients. Cultured cream. That's it. So I think that and I think also the purple onions in here gave it a little something. So sometimes my guac just tastes a little bit better some days over others. But this one, I think that lemon made a huge difference. So I'm going to have it with some guac, or excuse me, with guac and the sour cream.
It's funny that, you know, the more people I talk to who do quesadillas, I find so many people have different things, different ways they like it. I can't say that I've seen somebody who likes two people who like it the same way. Some people want to top it with pico. Some people want to top it with guac. Some people want to top it with sour cream. Some people put cheese on the top. Some people don't. It's like there's a combination of that what people have to do or want to do with it. It is, and and I think it is exciting reading through the history of the fact that it's a Mexican dish, but it is mostly Americans that eat it.
Yeah, the Mexicans are eating tacos and burritos.
However, if I just cut out everything on the old fashioned and just a little bit of Woodford on ice, it's pretty good.
The other thing is your cheese that you're using, because the whole purpose when you're tearing it apart, the cheese is supposed to, almost like a string cheese that just goes with it. It just looks beautiful.
It shouldn't be a clean break with the cheese. It should be melting out. But that's the people who have the string are usually the ones that have a little bit of mozzarella. The mozzarella with string. I don't like mozzarella in my quesadillas.
Want that? I thought pepper jack would be fine. I did not want mozzarella, at least not in my quesadilla.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? I might not get as much of the stringiness, but that's okay.
Yeah. And I do like that Mexican combo of cheese whenever I do them. I don't like them cheddar only, but you know what I mean? The ones that we do with the Reuben, and I should pull up that recipe and see if I can pull it up here online. I'll let you guys know a little bit about it.
But in my grilled cheese, I want sharp cheddar. That is absolutely delicious in my opinion.
It was a Food Network recipe, now that I remember.
Food Network has a lot of great things.
Yeah, yeah. So it has an onion into it. It does do with mayonnaise, ketchup. That makes the sauce with it. Worcestershire, 5 teaspoons mustard, your flour quesadillas, sauerkraut drained, Swiss cheese, and thickly sliced corned beef, sliced into strips. So, and that's something we should probably do in an episode just by itself. All right.
Oh, yeah.
There's a million ways we could do quesadillas. Just tonight we chose it because it was Lobster Day. We chose to partner with Lobster Day and try to do. I mean, and you should have seen us go the day we found out that Lobster Day and quesadillas. Like, we have to do that on that day. I don't think we spent as much time talking about what drink we were going to do tonight for a drinking podcast as we did about quesadillas. Quesadillas just go with drinking. You go to a bar, it's a snack you want to get. And like the history.
So it's on the menu.
Huh?
Please. If they have it on the menu, it'll be on the happy hour menu.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, you know what I mean? Almost every restaurant or bar in America has them. Well.
Yeah, this is.
Just trying to pull it. It's not pulling.
Separate. Yeah, it's not working for me. It is just all attached together.
How finely did you chop your lobster up?
Pretty fine. It's here's a
yeah. I chopped. That's about what I did to mine. I got really small pieces because I diced my pepper, red pepper that I put into it. So I wanted the pieces about the same, so that it was, you know what I mean. I'm matching size for size, and then the same thing. I use the green scallion onions. All right. So I mean, I wanted to do the same thing. I want them all around the same size. That way, that there's all three same size particles, cheese melting, all three together. So
that is so important, especially when you're cooking, that all your stuff is the same size or close to, because otherwise one will overcook or the other one will undercook, or you're trying to get them all done at the same time, and if they're not the same size, they're not going to cook at the same time. So always make sure you do the best you can to get them the same size. And the other thing is, if they're not the same size and you're trying to get a bite, kind of like my guac, then I'm going to get more of one thing and less of another because one is bigger than the other. So try to make it as uniform as you can.
No, you do. So listeners, all right, you guys tuning in. I'm curious, did you know, number one, did you know it was Lobster Day? Did you know it was Quesadilla Day? Right? We found this out because one of our friends of the podcast, a girl named Cindy, sent us both the national calendar because she caught us one time saying, well, it's funny that you're doing this drink today and not this drink because this is this drink's national day. So she sent the calendar, and over the summer this past year, the past 6 months, we've kind of used the calendar as a guide mark for what we're doing, and sometimes we stick to it, sometimes we don't. Sometimes it's just like, hey, we need something simple and easy this week because we have a short schedule,
right.
Which I think is the case of next week. We have a short schedule, so
we're trying to simplify it. Sometimes we simplify it. Sometimes I just overcomplicate it because that's what I do. Sometimes I don't mean to, but it's food. When it comes to food, I'm like, okay, what can I do with this? And, I'm going to do this. I mean, I spent, I don't know how many hours making Guatemalan chile rellenos this weekend. And of course, I had Sean help me beat the eggs.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing with beating eggs, y'all, if you need stiff peaks, make sure there's no yolk in the egg white because otherwise it will not peak. Mm-hmm. It just won't. It's not blend, but it just won't peak. So it's like going, oh no, and he's like, let me take it out. I said, we had to start all over. So beating it. He's always that enough. I said, nope, stiff peaks. And he kept beating him. I mean, he had to beat it for a good 15 minutes before the stiff peaks formed. And then it's like, okay, that's fine. Then of course I added the egg yolks back into it. And of course it flattened it out, but at least it still had that fluffiness to it, which it wouldn't have had we not gotten the stiff peaks on the white. So that is so important. But some of these things are a lot of work. You never know. Sometimes it's like, oh, it's easy. And then you start making it and it's like, oh no, this calls for a lot more work. And sometimes it's like, and that's why people are like, yeah. And that was something I hadn't made a chile relleno in so long because I knew that there were a lot of work, and making it Guatemalan style made it even more work because it wasn't just cheese. It was a beef with veggie filling that had to be made and not just stuffed with cheese. So that gave it a little bit more work. So yeah, I sometimes will give myself more work than I should, but I enjoy cooking, so I don't mind so much.
Do you remember 2014 movie, The 100-Foot Journey?
I don't think I ever watched that.
You've never watched that movie? Oh my God. No, I'm not into Indian food, but that movie just so made me want to try it.
Okay. I'll have to look it up.
You will. It's a movie about food and drink.
Nom, 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 nom.
Yeah, baby. So, anyway.
Oh my goodness, I'm so soft. I never eat 2 flour tortillas. I usually eat 1 flour or 2 corn. I'm having 4 tacos. That's very different. But I ate all of it. It is gone. I ate the guac. I ate the sour cream. I ate my quesadilla. My plate is empty.
Yep. Same thing here. Plate's gone.
I'm a little pigly here. It was very yummy though, and I'm full. I feel it. It's like, oh my goodness, I ate too much, but I'm content.
Yep. It is the purpose of our podcast to actually find something good, all right, and enjoy it. So, anyway.
And hopefully all of you can make this quesadilla. If it's easier to make it on a corn tortilla, do that because they're smaller, they're easier to maneuver, they're not as floppy as a flour. But if you are doing flour, make sure that you heat it on both sides, you add the cheese, and then you fold it in half. It'll make it easier than if you're trying to do what I did, which was 2 round ones. And try to find the tortillas, not the huge ones, but go with the smaller ones.
It's like 8 inches, what mine are called. 8-inch ones is what I use.
These are my soft taco ones.
Yeah, soft taco ones. I think most of them are 8 inches.
Yeah, so soft taco are smaller. They'll make it easier. And don't pick the doughy ones. There's some tortillas that are very doughy. That will not make for a good quesadilla. It takes longer to cook and it's very doughy. So I'm
Yeah.
very particular. So these were my riquísimos are my favorite flour. And then with corn, I'll do Guerrero or Mission are the two brands that I go for. Either white or yellow corn. Either way, I do both. They're both good.
Yeah.
So hopefully let us know how you like it and what you're pairing it with, because pair it with beer, not a problem. If you don't want to
Yeah,
take
actually, I'm pairing mine with beer, which is better. But then again, you know what I mean. I'm sipping on just some plain old bourbon.
what I should have done is tried it with Canadian whiskey, see how I liked it. I didn't touch it. I did not open this because this one was for my other drink that I didn't make, but I got it just in case. I was like, if I get ambitious. And that one is cranberry juice, Crown Royal, and raspberry liqueur. I would try it without the raspberry liqueur, see how that tastes. Chambord is one that I thought I had here. Apparently, I didn't because it's not my favorite. So
Yeah. A lot of the liqueurs I've kind of stayed away from them. I try to make drinks that don't have them, and I try to make my alcohol a strong alcohol. So like a good vodka, good tequila, good bourbon, and then I try to find my flavors, natural flavors to put in.
right, because you don't want to add all the sugar. And there's what I usually ask is this going to give me a headache? And it's like, oh, probably. So I don't know that I want that. But sometimes that's the only thing that will make that particular drink. In this case, I had another option of a drink, so I went with the other option, even though it was not what I originally wanted. But you know what? I think I'm happier. I'm glad I went this direction. And again, I went with the smaller. I could have just gotten like the little taster of Malibu, but I was like, yeah, slightly bigger is fine. And then the little guy, I didn't need more than this little guy of the dark rum, although now it's not closing. So go with them. As we've said before, just go with the smaller. You don't have to
If
buy
you're
it.
going to try a new drink up, always get samples and try it with sampler bottles.
Does not want to close. So
I
this
guess
might
you got to
have,
drink it all tonight then.
right? I know. Oh my goodness, it does not want to close. I don't know why. So that one I'm gonna have to be very careful because that will smell. But yeah, just start small. You don't go all crazy because it'll just you'll wind up spending money that you go, I didn't really like that. Well, try the taster if they have it at all. Or try it at a bar. If there's something that you would like to try, but you don't want to spend the money at a bar, because then at least you don't have to take the rest of the bottle home with you, and you get to taste it, and then you decide, hey, am I willing to spend the money on X, whatever X is.
Yeah. So I mean, guys, that's bringing it to an end to this week's podcast. So quesadillas, National Quesadilla Day. I say go to a restaurant tonight, get you some of that. Have you a good old beer, old fashioned, go with it. Enjoy.
Yep. And if it might still be happy hour time, let's see. Yeah, you might still hit happy hours, 5:30 Pacific time. So usually
It's
happy
5
hours.
o'clock somewhere.
And enjoy.
Enjoy.
Thank you all for being here today and allowing us to enjoy some lobster quesadillas with our drinks, Rock Lobster drink, a beer, and old fashioned.
Yep. So this show is brought to you every week, guys, by our businesses. We help sponsor this to make this show possible. All right. So we're going to tell you a little bit about our businesses. So before we go, let's start with the female in the group. Always ladies first.
Thank you, Tim. Gladys Boutwell, Insurance by Design. I help employers with their employee benefits. If you want to know how to attract and retain quality staff, hey, let's have a conversation. There's 101 different ways you can provide benefits to your employees and make it simplified. Go to insurancedesignpros.com. On the upper left, you will find a white paper on 101 different employee benefits. Get on my calendar at enrollnoworegon.com and we'll have the conversation. If I can't help you, guess what? I will find somebody who can. And this is my co-host.
Hey guys, my name is Tim Gillette. I have simple, easy website designer, website hosting. That's what we do. Simple and easy. We want to get you online. If your business is not making money online, your connections aren't leading to leads online, all right, the website is the place. You need to have a website that tells people who you are, what you do, and how to find you. You need a website, or you just want us to do an analogy? Go to simpleeasywebsites.com, all right, and check us out there. I do appreciate you if you do. So, and the last thing before we go, we always have to tell you about, we got one more thing we have now that's technically a sponsor of our thing, and that is our Insiders Club. Gladys, I mean, you know what I mean? How's our alcohol coming for the Insider?
It's coming. I put in a word into the whiskey and gin that's being distilled. It's been there, I guess, now 11 months. So I need to go taste it, see how that one's doing. The rye will be there at least another 6 months before we can taste it. And those are the ones that I have, and I'm like itching to do another little barrel, but I haven't done that yet. So the Insiders Club will be the first to know what's going on when they're bottled. You'll have the opportunity to come out to Washington State or even Oregon State to figure out how is the distilling process. You might be able to get your hands in there, get your hands dirty, and help make the next little barrel and get to sign your name off on it and then keep the barrel for yourself. So make sure you go to LikeTheWayYouDrink.com, sign up. You must be 21 or over. Please, please, please. So, because it's alcohol, and you will be invited to anything that we are doing outside our normal podcast. We will be sharing more information. You'll be able to have access to a heck of a lot more than you would if you're not part of the Insiders Club. So be sure to join. That's LikeTheWayYouDrink.com.
Yep. Other than that, guys, we had another great week this week. Next week, we're coming in. We're going to do something so simple, so basic. Everybody should do it.
Right?
Yeah. So I'm not even going to tell you what it is. You got to be here next week to find out.
And then you can run out and get it because it's going to be that simple.
It'll be that simple. Yep. You'll be able to run right out to the store and get it. It'll be that easy. Anyway. All right, guys. We will actually see you guys next week. Have a great week. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye, y'all.